The South African Power Flying Association brings you the 2014 Permanon President's Trophy Air Race in association with Permanon, Shell Aviation, Airborne Insurance and Century Avionics. A popular stopover for travellers on the N1, the town of Gariep Dam is situated halfway between Gauteng and the Cape. A village built in 1960 to house the dam's labour force, now developed into a holiday resort on the shores of South Africa's largest inland expanse of water. Has chalets, a caravan park and of course boating facilities, making it a water sport enthusiast's paradise. The Gariep Dam is a massive expanse of water that covers more than 370 square kilometres when full. The 914-metre long dam wall also houses a hydroelectric power station with 4 90-megawatt generators and forms part of the Orange River Development Scheme. This year, however, Gariep Dam saw a different attraction as it welcomed aviation enthusiasts from around the country, taking part in the 2014 Permanon President's Trophy Air Race. Held over 2 days at the end of May and attracting around 100 aircraft every year, this is one of South Africa's largest aviation events. The day before the event saw a multitude of single and twin-engine piston airplanes landing as competitors flew in for registration. Teams unpacked their planes, met up with old friends and got a first look at their race competition. At registration, the teams of pilots and navigators are issued with briefing notes, aviation charts for the area, and their all-important race numbers, which will become their call sign for the weekend. Test flights are then flown for planes whose handicap is unknown or disputed to ensure a fair race.
Tower, this is race 15 on the taxiway and getting ready for a test flight, race 15.
Good, we got our takeoff clearance and we're going to take the climb runway 28. Climbing up to 5,000 feet. Start flying the box.
Test flight, what they do is they'll take off and then climb to a height of 500 foot above ground, turn into the wind. They then fly for 5 minutes directly into the wind, turn left 90 degrees, fly crosswind for 5 minutes, turn left again 90 degrees. They're now flying downwind with the tailwind. They turn left again 90 degrees and fly for 5 minutes, and that's the end of the test. So you're flying a square pattern, 5 minutes each leg, which basically gives you an upwind, crosswind, downwind and crosswind, and that is then calculated, so you get an average which gives you a good speed.
GPS loggers that take a reading every second are used to track each aircraft. After each flight, the data is downloaded by race officials who plot the course of each aircraft, checking that they rounded each turn point marker and how fast they flew compared to their handicap.
When you commence the turn, make it a nice 45-degree bank turn, keep your height, don't gain or lose altitude, and then aim for the climbing.
A lot of people ask me, they said, is it a rally? I say it's not a rally, this is a flat out race. You fly your airplane as fast as it possibly can. We know we've got loggers and we've got history on just about every airplane. So we give you a speed that we feel and believe it can do, flat out speed. If we're not sure about that speed, we test fly the aircraft to attain a speed for you.
Once the teams had checked in and got their race packs, it was time to start planning. Pilots and navigators worked together, cutting maps down to size, marking the turn points and calculating compass headings for each leg of the race. The only factor still unknown was what the wind would be doing.
Well, it's an ideal opportunity for us to get involved in the President's Trophy Air Race. It's a world-renowned air race, and Permanon worldwide are involved in air racing and sponsoring of air races.
Once all the teams had registered, it was time for everyone to gather in Hangar 1 for the official welcome and race briefing.
Magnificent to see the turnout. And thank you for supporting us, and thanks for being here.
Dawn on day one, and conditions are perfect for flying, if not a little cold as competitors arrive at the airfield. After a quick breakfast, crews made their way to the flight line to get their planes ready for the day's race. One of them was this Cirrus SR22, flown by owner Isaac Pieterse from Bloemfontein.
Yeah, our handicap is quite high, it's 180.2, yeah. There's nothing we can do about that, so we must just enjoy the day.
They say a clean plane is a fast plane, and several teams were busy polishing the leading edges and propellers, hoping to gain a few extra seconds around the course.
Conditions, of course, are perfect. The weather is perfect. Absolutely, we couldn't have asked for better weather.
The largest competitor was this Piaggio Albatross, an ex-South African maritime patrol plane. Final pre-flight checks and the Marc brothers dial into ground frequency 120.8 for taxi clearance.
Number 25 ground. 25 go. Number 25 at taxiway, 2V start, behind 16. Behind 16 to start, 25.
In total, there were 89 aircraft taking part in this year's race. On day one, the aircraft start at 30-second intervals, with the fastest plane taking off first and the slowest going off last. First to take off was Race 7, a Glass Air piloted by Mike Howell with navigator Tom Marks and a handicap of 222 knots. One team had to step out of line because of a fuel leak, but they managed to get it repaired on time and started at the back of the field, which is not a problem as it is a timed event and day one is merely to set the start positions for day two. In the middle of the group with a handicap of 156 knots was Race 67, a V-tailed Beechcraft Bonanza, flown by SAA pilots Mike Finch and Sandy Bain. Further down the field was the Albatross that used up most of the runway to get airborne. One of the more peculiar looking planes was the Piper PA-23 Apache, flown by Brian Belcher and navigator Graham Smart. With a handicap of 145 knots, they would be looking to finish day one in just over 2 hours. Pilots William O'Driscoll and Donovan Bailey from Durban Wings Club were trying their utmost for a quick launch of the start line in their Piper Cherokee 140.
Ready and go!
I need to acknowledge last zone KNH 1023.
Race 37, pilot John Sayers and navigator Jack Kutzer in a Piper Comanche were tipped as one of the favourites to win this year's race.
Hold on. Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, get it up. Got it. Okay, push it. Okay, it's done. Okay, lower the nose a little bit, so accelerate. Circuit breakers popped anyway. Go straight, and turn. 327.
The course for day one is a total distance of 293 nautical miles. Leg 1 is 74 nautical miles to Oranje. Leg 2 is 56 nautical miles to De Aar. Leg 3 is 73 nautical miles to Middelburg. Leg 4 is 44 nautical miles to Steynsburg. And the final leg is 46 nautical miles back to the finish at Gariep.
Going on the outboard tanker. Okay. 15 minutes. Yeah. Going through this gap. No, just make the valley and then that next little hill just to the right of that on the... We definitely have a headwind here, so we can keep low. To the right of that symbol. The next one to the right, yeah.
On board with Race 31 in the Diamond DA-42 diesel aircraft, and just look how low they have to fly to avoid winds at higher altitude. Race 76 in an RV6, who chose a higher altitude for better visibility for navigation. Race 19 was Rudmond father and son team Percy Sr. and Percy Jr., showing complete focus in the cockpit as they approach the first turn point.
37 over, right? Okay, turn. 2, 3.
up. We climb this leg, eh?
Oh, we climb. Come a little bit more left.
We get right. Right. Hey, 220.
There are lots of power lines, so there's no point in going
No.
low.
I'm going to stay right here. There's power lines on top of the ridge there. There's a plane there. See that 210?
Oh, yeah.
There he is there. How far out are we, Jack?
You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 minutes, 5 and a bit minutes out.
SAA pilots Mike Finch and Sandy Bain going round one of the turn points, and the Marx brothers in the Albatross searching for landmarks.
Come here, yeah. See the road. It turns, okay, go straight.
There it turns there. That's the tree line there. There's the tree line. I got it.
The orange mark.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Half an hour after the last team took off, Race 7 was the first back home, followed closely by the Aerostar Race 94. There was a constant hum overhead as plane after plane completed day one. Planes were on long final and landing while slower competitors crossed the line with air traffic control landing all the aircraft safely.
Can you smell fume?
How's the smell fuel?
Concerned about a fuel smell, John Sayers and Jack Kutzer were relieved to be back on the ground having completed day one.
We didn't get lost. Yeah, that's important. We didn't get lost. And everybody's safe and sound, so that's the most important thing.
Race 25 finished day one in 1 hour 45 minutes, 3 minutes behind on their handicap.
Awesome race for them. It feels like we're back in the race again. We had a lot of fun.
Race 67 crossed the line in 1 hour and 53 minutes, just 36 seconds behind their handicap.
It's always getting the rust off, that's a bit of a problem. But it went well. Second leg we ended up quite flat, we had a little bit of an oopsie. We ended up quite far right of track. But luckily there's the biggest railway line in the world that goes to Dar. So we found that and pretty much followed the railway line into Dar. And from then on, yeah, it was great. We were bang on track. I just don't know about our speeds. We did a bit of climbing, to try and catch the wind for tailwind and stayed low. And it seems like we might have averaged about 155 knots in, but it went well.
There was relief for the pilots and organisers as there were no incidents, everyone made it back safely, parked their planes back on the flight line and began preparing for day two. The President's Trophy Air Race is more than just a race, as it also has a development program to give back to aviation.
In conjunction with Aero Club of South Africa and also SAPA, we brought the initiative of local development, where we take youngsters from the local community and train them as flight line marshals in order for them to develop themselves and to further themselves for work relation. Well, the training consists of 2 days theoretical training, which we go through a syllabus developed in the UK and in Australia, specifically for flight line marshals. Thereafter, they are taught over a 2-day period with the practical side of it. They do a theoretical examination and then a practical examination throughout the course of the race, whereafter they are presented with a certificate of achievement.
Okay, my name is Nathan Urson and I'm from Gariep. For the 2 days I've been here at this air race, I've been a marshal. Basically what my job was to park the planes in the regular positions and bring them out, get them ready for the whole race.
Day 2, and conditions are once again perfect for flying, with little to no wind at the airfield. Some teams are still making final calculations for navigation, while others are checking their results from day 1 and confirming their start times. Pilots had come from all over South Africa, but one pilot had literally flown around the world to get to this race, and he was race 15, Cully Hedberg.
Well, I left Cape Town middle of July last year, so in reality about 10 months. Not flying every day. Usually I would fly into some place, stay for 3-4 days, have some fun, climb some mountains, go up some glaciers, down into some caves, watch some babes on the beach, have a couple of check the local microbreweries, have some nice food, whatever, do interesting things, and then I would fly to another place. And exactly where I'm flying has been, depending a bit on weather and whatever. I just found my navigator, was my bed and breakfast hostess, who happened then to be a fixed wing and a chopper pilot, and was quite happy to come along. So I just found my navigator yesterday morning. So this is obviously our first run, and she said she was basically not sleeping much last night, tossing and turning and calculating speeds in her head and all that kind of thing. I'm more relaxed. This is my 5th race.
Aircraft is a Piper Aerostar 600A. This particular one has got the lowest time for any Aerostar in the world. It's just got over 1100 hours total time. It's also the fastest production twin aircraft that's ever been built.
It looks like it's going to be quite a tough race, this one. A lot longer than yesterday. So we'll see. There seems to be a few challenging legs. That's going to be quite tough to navigate. But I think I've done enough in terms of the planning to actually execute the plan, so we'll see how it goes.
First up was a final briefing. After checking all teams were present, answering any questions they had, going over race rules and confirming the start procedure, pilots and navigators made their way over to their aircraft. On the way they collected their race loggers and put away all GPS-enabled devices in sealed bags. The course for day 2 is just short of 300 nautical miles and is in the shape of a bow tie, making it more interesting for spectators as the teams cross over the airfield twice. Leg 1 is 50 nautical miles to Newholm. Leg 2 is 29 nautical miles to Philipstown. Leg 3 is 55 nautical miles to Gariep. Leg 4 is 56 nautical miles to Smithfield. Leg 5 is 29 nautical miles to Aliwal North. Leg 6 is 28 nautical miles to Burgersdorp. Final leg 7 is 48 nautical miles to the finish. This is the day where everyone has to be on their toes, as there's little room for mistakes, and aviation is very unforgiving of negligence and casual attitudes. Whilst the start on day 1 was done with rhythmic 30-second gaps in between each competitor, day 2 saw some gaps as big as a few minutes, but many were down to as little as 6 seconds. This meant that the marshals had to get the aircraft lined up in the correct position, and the starter had to ensure that the correct competitor was on the start line. The start went off without missing a beat, and there were times when there were as many as 6 aircraft speeding down the runway at the same time. There was some drama on the start line as race 2 were busy watching the marshal on the left instead of the start lights on the right.
Go again! You just missed our start. What was that?
I don't believe it. Probably after that guy next to us.
Oh, that's not a good start. That's 10 seconds already down under.
Tower Q9, please.
Race 23, a Lance Air 360 piloted by David Mandel and navigator Rod Crichton from Algoa Flying Club get their retractable gear up shortly after getting airborne for maximum speed. Back on board with the father and daughter team of race 2, and they're pushing to make up time from their bad start.
We should be 9 minutes at the kink, and we are 8:50, 51. Okay, so under a minute, under.
Having seen the orange turn marker, Race 93 make a right-hand turn, all the while keeping a visual on the 2 planes in front. And looking back, you can see 2 planes hot on their tail.
Watch your climb. Race 23 is over.
Here, race 44 with pilot Johan Goos and navigator Johan de Langer in their twin-engined Beechcraft Baron approaching the crossover at the end of leg 3. The course on day 2 was designed to be 2 triangles, giving a shape of a bow tie, with the center point being the airfield at Gariep. This allowed the spectators and everyone else to get a closer look as the teams came overhead the airfield. Just look at the steep turn race 57 makes over one of the turn points in their RV8 to be as fast as possible.
Okay, I'm watching straight.
On the line, 100 is below you. Keep a lookout. Perkins down for race 2 coming up now.
And turn.
Race 5 Perkins down, race 102.
326. Massive headwind. Stay low.
On the final leg home over Gariep Dam, we see race 93 going between and overtaking 2 competitors. Dave Mundell and Rod Crichton displaying great airmanship as they broadcast their intention to overtake race 90 just before the finish. The first aircraft came over the line a few minutes before 1 p.m. with mere seconds separating him from the next 17 aircraft. In fact, the Gariep race was probably the most exciting finish we've had in years, with 70 planes finishing within 10 minutes of each other. However, because of the handicap system, teams would have to wait for the final results to be announced at the gala dinner.
It was intense. The end was especially rough because we had to pass about 5 airplanes in the last 5 minutes, but otherwise it went well. I enjoyed it.
The weather has been perfect. The wind came up now, but during our race times has been absolutely magnificent. The local community has been magnificent. They've supported us, and everybody flew for 3 days, and the last one's on the ground, and everybody's safe. So we've had a great and successful race.
Since 1937, this prestigious event has grown in stature, adding a collection of trophies in different categories.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome to what is sincerely the biggest race of its kind in the world. It's something to really, really be proud of. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me tremendous pleasure to award the President's Trophy to the aircraft and crew gaining the most time on handicap in the 2014 race. Race number 62, Benny Duplessis and Celiers Mansa.
The only thing that you do in this race is you put your head down in your race, your heart out, and hope that you would win this race. So we are very fortunate and very grateful to win this race today.
Competitors agreed that the 2014 Permanon President's Trophy Air Race was a huge success, with many commenting that this first-time venue lent itself perfectly to the format of the race. Be sure to join us next year for more flat-out flying at the Tempe Airfield in Bloemfontein for the 2015 President's Trophy Air Race.